Could you tell us a little bit about those different components and what role they play in your work?
Sure. So the ice represents, well, the work is about the separation of Ayles ice shelf in northern Canada and the Arctic. And so the work tries to represent this event that took place. So actually nobody saw it. It was more that scientists detected it over satellite. And I think it was about a year later after it happened, because it was so far north. And so this ice shelf separated in the Arctic from an area near Ellesmere Island, and now it's kind of floating. It's actually lodged in the water now, but it was floating, and there was concern. There's lots of concern about it, the ecological impact of this separation that really should have never occurred, but was initiated by global warming. So, so the ice references that, and I chip at the edge of the ice to kind of try to make it more circular, so it would adapt to the technology that I used, which was like a video projection. The video projection was a mandala, which kind of to me represented this really burning like sun, and it was projected onto the ice. And inside the mandala was different images, such as and the ice news imagery of the ice shelf separating, and web imagery, and then also imagery from childhood. I use this image of Bambi like skidding on ice, and there's glacier images. So yeah, just different references. My work, I think, is influenced a lot by my childhood, and in the 70s I remember being in school, and they were talking about the ecological impact and how in the year 2000 things would become really evident. Like there would be like, you know, hurricanes and, you know, a lot of the things that we've seen happening in the world, like with Hurricane Katrina. And when I was in Chile recently, I presented this work in Argentina, and they were talking a lot about in Chile that there was this lake that just totally disappeared. It's like the earth kind of sucked it up. It was there one day and then it wasn't there, like it left this big crater. So that was something that people are talking about a lot, and it's just kind of like these very strange occurrences that are initiated, you know, by global warming. People theorize other things, but I think it's pretty evident that...
How do you prepare yourself for such a performance? Can you tell us a little bit, like, where did you get the ice from, and how does the work prior to the performance look like? How do you prepare yourself?
Well, the ice, usually in Montreal here, the setup's been amazing. Like that the SAT donated that Satosphere, like huge dome, and it had really great sound, and there was a stage. But usually I don't really have those kind of resources, so it was really exciting to do that in Montreal, and the festival has been really great, like really supportive. And so I didn't have to really do any of this setup, which was great, because normally I'm like dragging bags of ice. I did this piece in Toronto for Nuit Blanche. It was a bit different there, like every time I do it, it's different according to where it's presented in the environment I'm presenting it in. So this time I did it in Montreal. It's like totally different than when I did it at Nuit Blanche in Toronto. So yeah, it's kind of adaptable, and it also grows. Like here, I think it was in its most complete form because I presented it with video and sound. Whereas before I've just done action with the ice, I haven't had video and sound as part of it, so it was kind of special to do it here. So.
Okay, so I see you have traveled with this work as well.
Yeah, more in like an early form of this work. Like it's never been presented in this form that I did in Montreal, but earlier forms were like just working with the action with the ice, like spreading it, and working with the idea, like about the ice shelf separating. The flowers are kind of like, they're representative of how everything influences everything else ecologically. So the ice shelf separating will influence the growth of flowers and plants, Um, and then the plastic of the flowers and dipping them in paint kind of references being an artist and using artist materials, because I feel like none of us are really outside of the implications of, you know, our deterioration. So, and oil is like a basis of plastic and paint, which is like a major component of why we're struggling so much ecologically. Like, so, yeah, and so I kind of play with all those things and put them together and try to create some kind of landscape out of it. I guess it's trying to make some kind of representational landscape that draws attention to all the different materials and components of it.
So the last question is, how do you want to proceed with that project? Do you have any ideas? Or is it sort of finished now for you, or do you want to?
I feel that it might be finished at this point. Like, this piece has kind of had so many public evolutions. Like, I really don't usually work that way, like create a similar work over time that evolves. Like, I usually create a piece and then it's done. Like, I usually don't work with a piece like that. So so I think it might be nearing its completion, it feels like, and then, but every piece influences the next work, so I'm sure I'll bring some of this work into what I do next.